Good morning, dear students. Today we will continue with session 7, Analytical Epidemiology, the balance part of case control studies. Yesterday's session we have completed two steps, that is selection of cases and controls and matching. Today we will continue with measurement of exposure. Now, the information about exposure is usually obtained by either conducting interviews among the cases and controls, or by questionnaires, or even by studying the past medical records, hospital records, employment records. And most important thing is, this information about exposure should be obtained precisely in the same manner for both cases and controls. Note that very important point here is the case control studies. In case control studies, the measurement of exposure is established after the development of disease, and as a result there are highest possibilities of recall bias and observer bias. I hope you understand the point here. That is, the case control studies measurement exposure is established after the disease. That means we are examining or we are collecting the information among the cases and controls who had developed disease, especially in cases, and controls who has not developed the disease, but we are asking the sequence of events that had happened previously. So they have to recollect and tell us. So there is high possibility of recall bias among these cases and controls. Coming to the analysis, the fourth step. Now, association between exposure and a disease in a case control study is measured by calculating odds ratio. This is a very important short notes also. They can ask you odds ratio as it is. Now, what is this odds ratio? It is the ratio of odds of exposure among the cases to the odds of exposure among controls. So, the odds ratio is a measure of odds of disease in the exposed compared to the odds of the disease in the unexposed, and is calculated as a formula AD by BC. So we are checking what are the odds of exposure among the cases to the odds of exposure among controls. If you see the table here, we have given you cases and controls, exposed and unexposed. So odds of exposure among case group is A by C, and odds of exposure among control group is B by D. Now odds ratio is AD by BC crossly, if you see that. This is how the formula is. Now example here I have given you for your easy understanding. Calculation of odds ratio from a hypothetical case control study of smoking and cancer of the patients among 100 cases and 400 controls. Now odds ratio, as we have seen the formula before, AD by BC, that is 60 into 300 by 100 into 40, that makes it 4.5. So the OR calculated from the hypothetical data in this table estimates that smokers are 4.5 times more likely to develop cancer of the pancreas than non-smokers. Let us see one more example here. Here it is association between meat consumption and enteritis necroticans in Guinea. Now for the table 2, the odds ratio given will be OR, that is 50 by 11, that is 50 into 41, AC by AD by BC. That will be 50 into 41 by 11 into 16, that makes it 11.6. So this indicates that the cases were 11.6 times more likely than the controls to have recently eaten meat. So odds ratio is similar to risk ratio. The derivation of odds ratio is based on 3 assumptions mainly. That is, the disease being investigated must be rare, relatively rare. Second, the cases must be representative of those with the disease and controls must be those without disease. These are three assumptions. In these cases, odds ratio can be calculated. Now, for odds ratio to be a good approximation, the cases and controls must be representative of the general population with respect to exposure. So usually these should be from the general population. However, because of the incidence is unknown, the absolute risk cannot be calculated. Because in case control studies, we can never calculate incidence. So an odds ratio should be accompanied by the confidence interval observed around the point estimate. This is how odds ratio is. Now interpreting the odds ratio. OR is equal to odds ratio of exposure among cases and controls are same. That is, if odds ratio is equal to 1, that is exposure is not associated with the disease. Now if odds ratio is greater than 1, then odds ratio of exposure among cases are higher than controls. That is, exposure is positively associated with the disease. And if OR is less than 1, that is, exposure is negatively associated with the disease. If you want to see an example, in case of smoking and cancer, if the odds ratio is 1, that means there is no relationship between exposure and disease, that is smoking and cancer. Now if OR is greater than 1, that means smoking is highly associated with the cancer. If odds ratio is less than 1, that means negatively associated with the smoking is negatively associated with the cancer. This is the example you can understand. Now coming to, as I told you in the previous slides, that is bias. Now let us see what is a bias. It is a systematic error in the determination of association between exposure and the disease. Now the relative risk estimate may increase or decrease as a result of the bias. It reflects some type of non-comparability between the study and control groups. Now, the possibility of bias must be considered when evaluating a possible cause and effect relationship. These bias plays very important role when you are calculating or when you are studying these case control studies. If you do not pay attention and if you do not take proper care, this can definitely distort your results. Let us see how that comes. So there are many varieties of bias in case control studies. The first one among them is bias due to confounding factor. This can be removed by matching in case of case control studies. I hope you all have studied the previous session, that is matching, how it is done, how you can take care of the confounding factor. I hope you all remember what is a confounding factor. Confounding factor is the one which is associated with both the things and it itself also can cause the disease. So the memory recall bias. When the cases and controls are asked about their past history, it may be more likely that cases can recall the events better than the controls because the controls are not having the disease and you are asking healthy patients. So the person who is suffering is he can remember the sequence of events better definitely than the people who are not suffering. So there are possibilities of recall bias which should be taken care. Now coming to selection bias. This may occur when those individuals selected as controls are not representation of the population that produce the cases. Because when you are not cutting the controls, you tend to take from either hospitals or some particular group who are available. But those people whom you have selected controls are not from the population where you have selected the cases. So here selection bias can happen. So there may be a systematic difference in the characteristics between the cases and controls. The selection bias can be best controlled by its prevention. So to prevent this selection bias, it's always preferable that whomever the population base you are collecting the cases, it's preferable to to select the controls also from the same population. Now coming to the Parkinsonian bias. This happens because when you do this, when you collect the samples from the hospitals. A special example of bias is Parkinsonian bias, termed after Dr. Joseph Parkinson, who recognized this problem. This arises because of the different rate of admissions to hospitals for people with different diseases. So this is usually happen in the hospital-based case control studies. Now coming to interviewer's bias, which may occur when the interviewer knows the hypothesis and also knows the cases. So what happens when he knows the cases, he will interview better, or he will try to collect information from cases more than controls. So this prior information may lead him to question the cases more thoroughly than controls regarding a positive history of the suspected causal factor. So interviewer bias is there. Now coming to the advantages of case control studies. Relatively easy to carry out because it's not a long-term studies. Rapid and inexpensive compared to cohort studies. Require comparatively fewer subjects comparatively. Particularly suitable to investigate rare diseases or diseases about which a little is known. Efficient for study of diseases with long latency periods. Good for examining multiple exposures. Allows the study of several different etiological factors. Risk factors can be determined. Rational prevention and control programs can be established. No attrition problems because case control studies do not require follow-up of individuals into the future. And ethical problems are less. Now coming to the disadvantages. Particularly prone to bias, especially selection bias, recall bias, and observer bias. Validation of information obtained is difficult to validate, and sometimes it is almost impossible. Second, selection of an appropriate control group may be very difficult. Unable to estimate incidence rates of the disease unless the study is population based. Poor choice for the study of rare exposures, though it is the best choice for rare diseases, but poor choice for the study of rare exposures. Case control studies are limited to examining one outcome. The temporal sequence between exposure and disease may be difficult to determine. Do not distinguish between causes and associated factors. Not suitable to evaluate therapy or prophylaxis of a disease. These are all the disadvantages of case control studies. With that, our session ends, and please study once again with the previous session and this session. This is a very important chapter and it can be asked as a major question. As I have told you, matching is a short notes, confounding factor is a short notes, odds ratio is also short notes, advantages and disadvantages also can be asked as a separate short notes in case control studies. You can read it. If you have any doubts, you can get to me in the department. Thank you.